Okay, looks like we're back once again. All right, guys, let's start again. We're going to be going over aliens again because that seems to be more interesting than anything that I've done so far. Throughout the history of humanity, people have been fascinated by the idea of extraterrestrial life. The possibility of other intelligent beings existing in the universe has captured the imaginations of countless writers, filmmakers, and scientists. I will explore the concept of aliens drawing on both scientific and fictional sources. What are aliens? The term alien refers to any form of life that is not native to Earth. This can range from simple microorganisms to complex intelligent beings. Scientists have long been searching for signs of extraterrestrial life, looking for evidence of microbial life on other planets or moons, or scanning the skies for signals from other civilizations. Fictional portrayals of aliens are even more varied, from the classic little green men of early science fiction to the monstrous creatures of modern movies. Aliens have taken on many forms in popular culture. Some depictions show aliens as peaceful and benevolent, while others depict them as hostile invaders. The search for extraterrestrial life. Scientists have been searching for extraterrestrial life for decades, using a variety of techniques to detect signs of life on other planets. One of the most promising methods is the search for exoplanets, or planets outside of our solar system. By studying the light emitted by these planets, scientists can look for signs of life, such as the presence of oxygen or other biomarkers. Another approach is to search for signs of life within our solar system. The recent discovery of water on Mars and the potential for life on moons such as Europa and Enceladus have given scientists hope that we may find evidence of extraterrestrial life closer to home. While the search, as if it's not obvious, I'm reading from a teleprompter. While the search for microbial life is important, many people are more interested in the possibility of intelligent extraterrestrial life. After all, the idea of making contact with another civilization is one of the most exciting and intriguing concepts in science fiction. The possibility of intelligent life has been a subject of debate among scientists for decades. Some argue that the universe is so vast that it is almost certain that there are other intelligent beings out there. Others point out that conditions necessary for complex life to develop are so rare that we may be alone in the universe. I can't speed up the teleprompter. The concept of aliens have been explored in countless works of fiction, from classic novels to blockbuster movies. In many cases, the portrayal of aliens have been influenced by popular culture and prevailing attitudes of the time. In the early days of science fiction, aliens were often depicted as humanoid creatures with exaggerated features, such as oversized heads or eyes. As the genre evolved, aliens became more varied, with some being depicted as peaceful, benevolent creatures, while others were portrayed as hostile invaders. One of the most famous depictions of aliens is the movie E.T., the Extraterrestrial, which shows a friendly, curious alien who befriends a young boy. Another classic example is the TV show Star Trek, which features a diverse array of alien species, each with their own unique characteristics. However, not all of the depictions of aliens have been friendly. Movies like Alien and Predator show terrifying creatures that are bent on destruction and death. These depictions of aliens tap into our fears of the unknown and the possibility of threats from beyond our world. The concept of aliens has captured the imagination of people for centuries. While the search for extraterrestrial life continues, fictional depictions of aliens continue to entertain and intrigue us. Whether friendly or hostile, benevolent or malevolent, aliens will always be a fascinating and mysterious subject as we continue to explore the universe. We may one day find evidence of extraterrestrial life, and the truth about aliens may be even stranger than anything we've ever come up with. All right. That's a bit silly. Well, I started watching something. I started watching a John Lear interviewed from Vegas. Let's go over who John Lear is, because I hadn't heard about him before. Son of Learjet magnate Bill Lear was an aviator who set multiple records, later flying cargo planes for the CIA during the Vietnam era. In the 1980s, Lear became espousing conspiracy theories of alien collusion with secret governmental forces. In the second half of the 1980s, Lear was probably the most influential source of UFO conspiracy theories. John Olson Lear was born on December 3, 1942, to industrialist and futurist Learjet founder Bill Lear and his wife, Moya Mary Olson Lear. He was named after his maternal grandfather, famous comedian John Olson, thank God. His second and third birthday parties were covered in the society page of an Ohio paper. Ooh, hometown's not looking good. Oof. Lear graduated from the Institute Little Rosie. That's cruel. Ohio's facing a lot of crap right now. Institute La Rosie boarding school in Switzerland, and attended Wichita State University. Let's get to some of the more spicy stuff. Since the 1947 flying disc craze, Americans had reported seeing unidentified objects in the skies, and by 1955, UFO researchers were accusing the U.S. government of cover-up. In the 1950s and 60s, many UFO and contactee groups professed belief in Space Brothers, benevolent aliens eager to improve life on Earth. During a 1964 hypnotic regression, Barney Hill became the first person to report recollections of gray aliens and abductions. By 1973, UFO mythology told of a UFO landing at Holloman Air Force Base. A strikingly similar landing served as a climax to the 1977 blockbuster Close Encounters of the Third Kind. By 1978, UFO mythology included a crash flying saucer near Roswell. In 1980, cattle mutilations near Dulce, New Mexico were linked to UFOs in popular media. In 1964, Bill Moore's partner Jamie Shandera received an envelope containing film, which, when developed, showed images of 8 pages of documents that appealed to be briefing papers describing Operation Majestic 12, a top-level UFO group with the U.S. government. Looks like we're finally getting there. Statement by John Lear. On December 29, 1987, Lear posted a statement to Paranet, an early bulletin board system dedicated to the paranormal. Weird sound. Dedicated to the paranormal, claiming that the U.S. government has close contacts with extraterrestrials that were secretly promoting films like E.T., Extraterrestrial, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind to influence the public to see extraterrestrials as Space Brothers. The document was revised on January 14th, again in March with a final revision dated August 25, 1988. The document describing a secret government committee, Majestic 12, making a treaty with gray aliens, only to later realize they've been deceived by the aliens. The statement claims the UFO cover-up has been underway for 40 years. Lear argues that Germany may have recovered a flying saucer in 1939 and discusses the 1946 American military investigation into the ghost rockets reported over Sweden. The statement argues that many in the original group of insiders committed suicide, most notably James Forstall. According to the narrative, Truman formed a group of 12 insiders known as Majestic 12 to investigate the matter. The statement lists 3 saucer crashes, one near Roswell, another near Aztec, New Mexico, and a third near Laredo, Texas. According to the statement, the U.S. government covered a total, thorough, and sweeping cover-up, include the use of deadly force. The statement references the 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO incident and a 1964 meeting with aliens at Holloman Air Force Base. Lear's statement includes government-sanctioned alien abductions, alien implants, and alien-human hybrids. I'd like to get my hands on one of those. The statement asserts that some of the nation's missing children had been used for secretions and other parts required by the aliens. Oh, God. They were just trying to cover up for an early Epstein. Lear described UFOs in connect with cattle mutilations and even claims that human mutilations have occurred and the satanic witch cults or whatever. Lear talks about Dulce Base and an altercation between aliens in the U.S. military base that led to 66 human casualties. Mirage Men, it sounds like a bioweapon got released. Mirage Men author Mark, and Coverup. Mirage Men author Mark Pilkington, later described Lear's statement as a perfect synthesis of the Aquarius and MJ-12 disinformation and the chthonic subterranean paranoid horrors of Paul Benowitz. On January 28, 1988, Lear was interviewed by TV journalist George Knapp, and that's what I'd like to play a little bit. I don't know if it's going to result in us getting a strike. I assume that as long as we play just a bit at a time, we'll be okay. I don't know if we have any stream. Can you hear me? I'm not not sure if there's anyone here. I mean, what the hell would anybody be doing here on a Saturday anyway? But I'm here for the moment. Let's see. Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can pull something up. All right. Let's see if I can pull up the stream. Oh. Okay. Looks like we've got something here. All right, I'm back. So, let's look at the comments real quick. Bruh, the amount of UFOs lately has been staggering. Nah, how can I trust you? How many... I think this could be a good sign because maybe then they tried to prevent World War III. Reason is why not? Why right now? I think, Manual Signs. Through the endless inertia, what's going on? Rambro, humans will always do that if they exist or not. Lear is an agent by Ehrlich Lieberman. At least he's not that other Paul Ehrlich. Chris Saino, I just got back from Vegas. No aliens or UFO sightings, unfortunately. Hill Story, more propaganda, probably. Corey, Ehrlich Lieberman, Bluebeam, Knights, yeah, they're called demons. Ehrlich Lieberman, all CIA. Well, I can tell you I've seen some pretty crazy stuff in the skies, but I've also always been near. Not always been, but close to airports or Air Force bases. And I don't think for a second that they are extraterrestrial. But let's not get into that because that's not important. Let's take a look and hope that we don't get banned at this neat little video.
Hello and welcome to On the Record. Flying saucers, extraterrestrials, monsters from
George
outer
Knapp
space. The
is
government's
definitely
been
one of
telling
the
us
most
for years
interesting
that they're not real.
journalists
They're weather balloons,
to cover,
swamp gas,
or maybe the most
reflections
legitimate
from the sun, or
to
the
cover
ravings
these
of
topics.
lunatics. But serious UFO
I
researchers
think
say
Lazar
a breakthrough may be very
was also
close.
interviewed by
Some
him.
of the government scientists who worked on the top-secret project Blue Book are ready to talk. What's more, a series of revealing government documents have trickled out of the federal files. Documents that paint a much different picture of the UFO
I don't know, I find it
phenomenon.
hard to...
One of the most dedicated UFO researchers lives right here in Las Vegas. His name is John Lear, and he is my guest today. Mr. Lear, thanks for being here.
Okay, George.
To begin with, you're a pilot,
weapons.
an airline pilot, captain. You have held 17 different world speed records at one time or another. You're a member of the famous Lear family that all Nevadans are pretty much familiar with, a former state Senate candidate. You don't sound like the kind of guy who would get hooked up in something that a lot of people would say is a bunch.
So he sounds like the perfect foil for discrediting or trying to draw attention away from the entire UFO movement. Why not have somebody who's affiliated to the, what can we say, the military-industrial complex? Is that going to get me a big boot? And be able to claim that there are extraterrestrial races that exist. You know, something better than F1 racing.
Bunch of nonsense.
No, it's just by coincidence that I got really interested. This about 2 years ago. My father saw a UFO and my brother did, and they were very interested, but there was really no proof, as far as I was concerned, to really look into it until about 2 years ago.
Your father and brother saw them. Can you give details?
My brother saw one. He was flying a P-38 from Phoenix to Los Angeles at night. It just appeared in front of him. He made two turns, 90-degree turns. It stayed in front of him and then disappeared. And my father was flying at night, I believe, over the Arizona desert, and saw one too.
So you got an interest because of the...
I've never seen anything over the desert. I've seen some interesting stuff off the Gulf of Mexico and a little bit north of the Gulf of Mexico and in the Chicagoland area, multiple times in each. Most recently, maybe a year and a half ago, I can remember seeing really, really slow moving dim lights. I think they were just drones. I think they were just running drills on drones. But again, who knows?
The other members of your family, how did you start out?
I had an interest, but there was really nothing I could put my finger on. And like I say, 2 years ago, a friend of mine came through town. We had flown in Southeast Asia together, and he was retiring from the Air Force. He came over, and we started talking about where he had been for the last 15 years. And he mentioned that he had been stationed at Bentwaters. And I said, oh, Bentwaters, that's where the flying saucer supposedly was in 1980. He said, no, John, not supposedly, it was. He said, I don't care if you believe me or not. It landed.
Straighten its head out somewhat, doing this weird.
But I know people who did, and I'll give you the names, and if you ever see them,
I mean, it's
tell them you know
certainly
me,
not
and
just
tell you
a
the whole story. Since then,
term.
I ran into one of the security police who was within 10 feet of the saucer and actually saw the three aliens get out and
not really
go up
sure
to
what's
General
going on.
Williams, who was the wing commander at that time.
Swamp.
Now, there was quite a bit of documentation regarding this Bentwater incident. Why don't you go into that a little bit?
There's the...
So has anybody heard of the Bentwater incident? The incident before we get into this? Crack pottery, Malachi, retrocrypt, swamp gas. Yeah, swamp gas. Retrocrypt, I think we're having more sightings now due to the escalating political military actions going on around the world. Well, rather than straight out EMP your enemy, it'll be easier just to have some unexplained craft EMP your enemy silos when they start trying to launch their ICBMs. If they haven't already tried to launch their ICBMs or whatever, their missile systems, I wouldn't be surprised if Russia's already tried. I mean, it's pretty interesting that while Trump was in, he, because Trump is without the decorum that the state loves. So, in his speech, he made the remark that with Russia, that Trump had a big red button, but his worked. I mean, that could mean anything. I mean, to me, it seems, it could be a bit egoic, but that egoic is just possibly related to I know something you don't. And I mean, maybe it's obviously, we know that the maintenance isn't kept up, and between corruption, the yes men, and the maintenance of the Russia, that they may not work. But then again, they may just have some god weapons that can just shut everything down. Who knows? But let's get back to Lear, because I need to, next time I'll clip out interesting sections rather than just start from the beginning. I don't know that I'd want to start 26-minute, follow this all 26 minutes through, but let's just keep going.
Colonel Halt memo that came out under the Freedom of Information Act, and it told about the mysterious lights and beaming down and everything that happened in the forest except the actual alien landings. That wasn't in the memo. And there was also the tape, Colonel Hall.
Can you guys hear this?
That he made over.
Is this coming through okay?
And there's a 20-minute segment that we've been able to get a hold of that you can hear them running through the forest and being worried, saying the thing's after us.
Now, why do you suppose that hasn't come out? I mean, this particular incident, why hasn't come out if so many people, and you've told me about this before, have seen it or seen these aliens? Why haven't some of them come forward?
A lot of them have come forward, but they're just not getting any press. It's something that people just don't want to deal with, the press doesn't want to deal with, and people aren't going to listen to something unless Dan Rather or any of your big press people are going to tell them about it. And they're just too spooked. The Air Force has made an art form of
you can't hear
people who have talked about this thing. They've done an excellent job of covering it up for the last 40 years.
Well, that's a
Monday.com makes GANs great again. Yeah, you know.
I'm sure you can hear the advertisement. Oof. Can you share the link for context? Yes, I will at the...
What we're dealing with here is, I'll give you the bottom
end of the
line.
stream.
I want to hear your thesis.
I'm not trying to sell a book, I'm not trying to promote a lecture. This is based on what I've come across after intense research in the last year. And I found out...
You can just look up the John Lear 1987, though I read that this was 1988, but who knows.
Which they tried to fly. They have
Can hear the ad, of course. The ad's always going to be louder than everything else. You can hear it
We
fine.
even have the name of the person whose job it is to show these bodies to the heads of state and the people who are authorized to see them.
You guys believe that there's little green men, little goblins running around that pilot ships, or little gray people? Do you believe that any of that exists? Do you believe that, cloaking is a technology, that between metamaterials and engineering, you can make a crude cloaking device yourself? And don't go do that at home. Oh, here's somebody. I had a CE5 experience this week. That sounds like a medical issue. Rohit, can you explain to us what a CE5 experience is? That sounds interesting. Too bad this isn't instantaneous and you get that 6-second delay.
They represent at least 5 different civilizations.
I can't imagine a Dan Rather or a Tom Brokaw, if that were to come to their attention, a story of that magnitude, that they wouldn't do something with it.
Well, I can't answer that question. I don't know why they don't do it. There certainly is.
Can you guys tell me whereabouts you guys are from? Just throw a state down in the chat so I have some idea of where the demographics are getting out to. And just leave a comment. Just leave a comment saying where you guys are from. What state? Rohit, I'm going mad the entire week. We're looking for Stephen Greer's direct contact. White House live cam. There's a demon portal above the White House. Uh-oh. What if you see I hope my face isn't in there. A demon portal. Zeus Ruger. Gremlins. Uh-oh. Nothing new here. But let me know, what is this CE5? Los Angeles County. Oh, Colorado Springs. We're going from west to east. Northern part of Sweden. Interesting. That's interesting. What else do we have? I'm going mad the entire week looking for Stephen Greer's direct contact. Can you explain to us, Rohit, what your CE5 experience is? We got Philadelphia. Brad, I hope you're doing well in Philadelphia. Zeus Ruger. Bro, check it out. A demon portal right now, huh? Well, they're pouring through. You can't stop them at this point. Nor would you want to. Dude, there is this lake in the Himalayas where you see weird activity daily. You stay with me and I'll show you weird activity daily. I remember I was walking with 2 girls not too long ago. Walking down the street. I look up. I shit you not. What looked like a star, you could see the light just kind of turn and then just disappear up into the cloud line. And I'm never really that like, oh my God. because, I probably haven't seen more than 10 weird encounters, but you see a couple, and all of a sudden it isn't something that is necessarily new. So we got a demon portal going on. Let's start talking about the demon portal, because that's way more interesting. Let's get up on that demon portal. All right, let's find something about our demon portal. So you're saying this is a live event right now? I wish I could go live to you from the demon portal. Though some would say I possibly already am. Demon in the White House. Oh, I'm not seeing anything. Demon portal live feed. We'll get back to our scheduled programming of aliens and how the astronauts from another planet are not coming to save us. Ooh, Chris Bird, I've seen that too. Can we talk a little bit about these demon portals? I'm not seeing anything, and if it ain't on Drudge, it isn't important. I'm just kidding, But most things find that aggregate. So, oof, the demon right there. What do we got? Pentagon, that's me. Oh. I don't know. Let's just Google it. All right. What do we got? Oh, wow. About that portal hovering over the White House. Oh, got it. And there's Roger Stone again. I was right. Am I right or am I right? They talk about demon portals. They throw his face on there. What do we got? Roger Stone said it first appeared when President Biden moved in. Your man in Washington went to investigate. Oof. Interesting. When I read last week that Roger Stone, the famous political wacko and longtime Donald Trump confidant, said he knows there is a demonic portal to hell hovering above the White House. Quite visible. A swirling inferno in the general shape of a sphincter. Really? Really, Roger? And that it had first appeared when President Biden moved in. I was a bit skeptical. Frankly, there weren't many other confirmed sightings. But then I began thinking about it some more. Really? This is an article, guys. Let's read this. Let's just go into this, because this is outrageous. When I read last week that Roger Stone, the famous political whack... Okay, we got that. Stone is a person of consequence, whose opinions have influenced foreign and domestic policy. The House committee investigating the January... I want to know more about this portal. Stone, in the interview with Eric Metaxas, criticized the mainstream media for failing to report on the swirling doom hole, says the media. Maybe it's just like an upside-down toilet, and gravity's going the opposite direction, and with it, us, ever circling that flaming sphincter. Ever sensitive to charges of liberal bias, the Globe asked me to look into Stone sighting to see whether all the lattes could have blinded them to such an incredible story. Oh, wow. All right. This is what we're doing. We're giving Roger Stone some algorithm here. Fact number 1, if Stone is right and some dedicated investigative journalist was courageous enough to confirm this, or even present it as a plausible possibility, that journalist would become both world famous and immeasurably wealthy, inasmuch as this disclosure would not only justify humans' hunger to believe in the paranormal, but confirm the existence of a heaven and hell in which an all-powerful munificent an all-powerful munificent deity is locked in eternal combat with a Stygian, God, I wish I knew these words, purveyor of evil in a Machian structure as old as Genesis, thereby confirming the existence of a just and benign God and legitimizing the compelling literary and ontological construct that life is divided into good and wicked, the moral and the immoral, the holy and unholy. Holy crap, it would be the biggest news story ever in the globe. yeah, that would be quite a thing. Why couldn't it just be, you know, some other sect of people wanting, you know, what's in the White House to appear evil, so they just project it up there? Who knows? Maybe it's real. Flaming sphincter in the sky. My home is a mere 15-minute subway ride from the White House. So I am in front of the president's handsome, historic alabaster residence, squinting up into the chilly, late December, cloud-crowded sky, searching for the fiery, satanic sphincter of doom. I saw it not, but I was not unbowed. I am a trained professional observer, I observed. The White House faces Lafayette Park, one of the odder venues in America, a haven of greenery overtaken by tourists, police, earnest, uneasy people with civic grievances displayed on placards, and pigeons. And if you look to the west, you'll see Baltimore. According to the Apostle Matthew, birds are not notorious instruments of the devil. What goodness man hath sworn, birds hath eaten of. So what were the pigeons in the park telling me? Was this a sign? This is outrageous. Encouraged, I walked on, facing the White House grounds. Just a few feet away was a Swami-like man named Philippos Malacubello, ensconced in a tent, surrounded by signs. He's famous. He's been sitting in front of the White House for years, every day protesting nuclear war and defending African dignity and other worthy causes. He greeted me with a broad smile, because once I introduced myself, he said the Globe was one of the very first newspapers to acknowledge the wisdom of his crusade, back in August 1981. A good sign. Wow. He's a long-term. He's in for the long haul. Malacubello has been staring at the White House for more than 20 years. Has he noticed a new apparition in the sky? I haven't. Prosecutorially, I narrowed my eyes. Are you an expert in this? Have you seen a demonic portal? I have not, he said. Might you not recognize one of you saw it? He paused, possibly considering the likelihood of yet another mention in the globe. I might not. I walked on. Here's Steve Delaney, sitting even closer to the White House in a lawn chair surrounded by signs. One of them declares that he is the reincarnation of the dope with the tiny mustache. The wickedest man ever here on earth to repent. Who better to recognize? Very promising, I asked if he was really the reincarnation of the mustache. No, he admitted. He was just using that trope, he said, because he is really the reincarnation of someone worse than the mustache. He said he'd tell you who it was if I promised not to reveal it. I solemnly promised. It turns out to be someone I'd never heard of, but whose crime against humanity was at least equally awful, because it wasn't as deadly, but also involved personal betrayal. Delaney preferred to be thought of as mustache because it wasn't as bad. So, I said, hopefully nodding to the sky, have you seen a portal to hell up there? No, I haven't. I wish I had. Why? Because it's awful cold out here. It can heat us up. I walked away conflicted. We're living in complex times. Truth in politics sometimes seems like a commodity up for grabs, subject to the laws of supply and demand, manipulatable, elastic, manipulable. One man's portal is another man's light bulb of inspiration. You guys can find this article at the Boston Globe. All right. The great sphincter in the sky is the Eye of Sauron. Yes. Also, weaponry we don't have. Oh, well, let me go back in this. What do we got? YouTube White House live cam. I want to get Dr. Greer to come and try the CE5 contact at Shanrotal Lake. Look it up about this place. Farmers have been seeing disappearing orbs for decades. Oh, I've seen a few orbs in my time. That was the thing when I was looking up when I was walking around. There's a small circle of mist that's floating above the White House. Yes, the mist. You know, here where I'm at, every time the mist comes around, the bear comes out. Yes, we have a black bear, but he always runs off. He just loves the trash, just eating the trash because everything destroyed his home. White House live cam. Oh, also weaponry we don't and may never know about unless America is in dire straits on the verge of defeat. I didn't know America had a foot fetish. The YouTube channel is called Earth TV White House Livecam. Earth TV White House Livecam. Let's find that. That sounds interesting. Earth TV White House Livecam. Let's check this demon portal. What is the glowing orange light over the White House? All right, what is the glowing orange light over the White House? I could just be giving somebody some algorithm traffic here. Who knows? I don't know how this works in a live stream. Well, this isn't live. Can you drop a link to us there? Who did it? Zeus? Zeus, can you drop a link so we can see about this demon portal? See what's been opening up? What's been pouring through? Take care, Retro. You have a good night. Oh yeah, that's certainly a demon portal. Every once in a while they gotta zip the consciousness of Biden back into the White House. So you think when Biden was shaking the hands of what people thought was an invisible entity, maybe there was an entity, or maybe he's got some contact in his eye and it projects somebody there, like the ruler of the contingent population of planet Earth, for once again getting back under control the decorum. Where do we go from here, guys? We gotta watch some more John Lear. Certainly listening to me talk gotta be getting boring. Oh, Zeus is gonna go ahead and get us a URL and let us know where we're at with the demon portal, because I can't find it. I'm having problems. We got Penguin 6. What is this glowing orange light over the White House? Is it a portal? No, it's somebody just having some fun. Demon portal. If I say demon portal enough, does that open a portal above the house I'm in? Oof. Demon portal. I don't know about any of this. I can tell you one thing. I can tell you another very interesting event that happened in my life. I remember camping, 2009. All my friends are hanging around. We're sitting. It's November, Chicagoland area. It's cold. I'm staring into the fire, looking at a log burn. Okay, and for a long time I've done a type of meditation thing where I stare at a point, a specific point, as much as you can follow it, and you stare, you regulate your breathing. And I don't know when I'd lost my attention at something, and I saw, I shit you not, I saw a face burning on the log. What made it clear, what made it clearly a face, were the eyes. Now this is what is even more interesting. The face, when one of my friends came over and I pointed it out to him. He's like, "Yeah, I kind of see the dark stuff, yeah, I guess." But it was a perfect outline of a face. It wasn't just eyes, sunken eyes where eyes would be. Not a skull, but a face of some kind. Just sitting there burning on the log. I guess somebody could have put some type of accelerant or, deaccelerant to make it do or not do something. But that's it. I didn't get all crazy about it, just kind of looked at it. Oh, but it kind of looked like the outline of my face, so that was a little interesting, okay, since we're getting on all these topics, some interesting topics. Before the German floods, the floods in Europe last year or the year before, might have been the year before, 2021, I started having reoccurring dreams. In my life, I've never had reoccurring dreams. but these were reoccurring dreams. I think there were 2 or 3 that started off me in a narrow city. And I'm walking in the narrow city. Well, okay, when I say narrow city, I'm talking about, the streets are much more narrow than the United States. So, because I know about European architecture development somewhat, roughly. I thought to myself, oh, I'm in a European city, walking along. And then the water starts coming. The black, muddy water just starts filling up. And, that's the oh no moment. And I wake up, before I drown. But then after that, probably, when I say after that, I mean after the 2 or so dreams of the being in the European city filling up with floodwaters, I had the, this one was very scary, much more scary. I was out on a oil rig or something that resembled an oil rig. And the storms were just, unless, I was somewhere else and the world flooded and all you could see was water. But I remember an oil rig flooding and just waiting to be rescued. Helicopters would come, would take people away, and then you'd be waiting for like 30 minutes to an hour. And another helicopter would come, and it would take more people. And I don't remember how many times it took until I got taken away too, but that was another one. That was an interesting one. I've got some other dreams too but we won't go into those. Those aren't. So let's get back to our John Lear. Don't really want to put any more emphasis on this demonic house or the demonic invasion. That's going to drive our Christian viewers away.
Enough evidence based on what I've looked at. For instance, the Linda Moulton Howe documentary in Denver for the CBS affiliate there called A Strange Harvest. Since 1975 to 1980, when she made the documentary, there's at least 9,000 cattle mutilations. Now, the government said that the mutilations were normal. Your desert predator did these. But they weren't. The mutilations,
we have a picture of these somewhere. Maybe we can see that as you're talking. That's the next picture. There we are.
This is the mutilation New Mexico State Police did the research on, or the investigation on it. And they cut out certain parts with and the cut was made with a laser beam far sharper than anything we have. As a matter of fact,
sounds like the aliens only like specific parts of the cow.
Between the cells and didn't cut the cells themselves. We presently don't have this kind of technology.
Well, if we don't know that we have this kind of technology, or you and I don't know that we don't, but that doesn't prove necessarily that it's ET.
No, except that there's usually a visual sighting of a flying saucer or a strange light at each one of these sightings.
Okay, you mentioned the saucers and the bodies. Now, what kind of proof do you have that is true? How do you know that?
Well, let me take a look. Let me read to you first what the Air Force says about the bodies.
So I did read that Lear has espoused that there are over 70 species of alien races.
First of all, I'm going to read from the Introductory Space Science, Volume 2, Department of Physics, United States Air Force. This is Chapter 13, Unidentified Flying Objects. Now, this is what the Air Force has the students at the Air Force Academy read. And it says, the most commonly described alien is about 3.5 feet tall, has a round head, arms reaching to or below his knees, and is wearing a silvery spacesuit or coveralls. Other aliens appear to be essentially the same as Earthmen, while still others have particularly wide wrap-around eyes.
You still have to farm in space.
And mouths with very thin lips. And there is a rare group reported to be about 4 feet tall, weight of around 35 pounds, and covered with thick hair for clothing. Members of this last group are described as being extremely strong. Now, I'm not making this up. This is an Air Force. You can pick out an Air Force physics book and read this stuff. And at the end of the chapter, they go on to say, this leads us to believe in the unpleasant possibility of alien visitors to our planet, or at least of alien-controlled UFOs. Now, the picture that we have of the big head that the Air Force describes, This picture was drawn by an Army surgeon. These are one of the bodies that was recovered in the famous Roswell incident of 1947.
Tell us about that.
It was the first flying saucer that crashed and was recovered by the Army. It was covered up. There has been several books about it. They recovered 4 beams, and one of the surgeons that was responsible for the autopsy drew that picture and came up with some of these
these look like they were drawn by kindergartners.
I'll just read a couple. 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall, 2 round eyes without pupils, no
2 round
earlobes,
eyes doesn't sound very humanoid.
neck described as being thin. Arms is described long and thin, reaching down to the knee section. You can see that there's a webbed portion in the hands. No teeth, no apparent reproductive organs. Brain capacity unknown. Colorless.
So in the end, the woke crowd
red
wins
cells,
out,
no
and they're
lymphocytes.
the ones that
10 years more in that particular
This
report.
is not
make it to the
reporting.
next
You said
step
the
of
government
evolution.
goes to great lengths, the Air Force in particular, to discredit this kind of stuff. Where did this come from? How did you get this?
That came in the.
I wonder how many different genders the aliens
have.
have.
Collection of Leonard Stringfield, who was one of the premier researchers. He worked for the Air Force in the early 50s in a secret project reporting UFOs. Then, as a civilian, he continued his private research, and this is out of his collection.
Why does the government...
His collection, his
Why
personal
does the Air
collection,
Force
his
come
artist's
forward? Why doesn't,
renditions.
Why don't they level with us if this is all true?
Well,
The only person he
really
can get
much
to
they
draw
can
were
say based on what
his
I've
own
been able to
kids.
Find out, George, they're really, what could they say about it? They've been researching it for many, many years, and based on my information, let's say that the president decided to make an announcement. This is, if he made it today, this is what I think that he would say. My fellow Americans, I come to you before you tonight with an announcement of great importance. Despite all our denials, flying saucers do in fact exist. Where they come from, we do not know. Who is in them, we do not know. Where they are from, we do not know, nor do we know how they got here or what they want. We are unable to duplicate any of the metals found on the several craft we have recovered, nor are we able to figure out how they are propelled. We have hidden these facts from you over the past 40 years in hopes that we could give you more answers. Unfortunately, we are no closer to answers today than we were 40 years ago. God bless you all.
In other words, you find it highly unlikely that the president would ever make a statement, anything like that.
No, it's just, it's too big. The problem is not only just the fact that there are...
So John Lear gave you his...
as many as 10 different...
My fellow American speech.
civilizations visiting us. Apparently, and this is from the research that I've done, at least
I've got one as
90%
well.
of them are hostile. And when I say hostile,
Let's go ahead.
if not
And,
hostile, they have a completely
let's
different
go
set of
ahead
goals
and give you my...
Okay, I'll tell you what, we're going to come back
My fellow
to
Americans.
the president and aliens, because there have been some statements made
Because
by
we don't have
presidents.
anybody else's.
President
right now,
Reagan will be right back.
so let's do that. On the record. Ladies and gentlemen, I come before you today to address a matter of great importance to our nation and the world at large. Recent events have led us to believe that we may not be alone in the universe, and that contact with extraterrestrial life may be imminent. As your president, I feel it is my duty to address the issue head on and provide some clarity and guidance for the American people. Let me assure you that our government is taking this matter very seriously. We have been working tirelessly to gather as much information as possible and to establish protocols and procedures for how we will handle any potential contact with alien life. Our top scientists and experts have been studying the evidence and preparing for all possible scenarios. However, we must also acknowledge that we are in uncharted territory. We do not know what kind of life we may encounter or what their intentions may be. It is therefore important that we approach this situation with caution and respect. We must not jump to conclusions or make assumptions based on our own limited perspective. In the event of contact, our priority will be to establish communication and to seek to understand the aliens' intentions. we will do everything in our power to ensure the safety and well-being of our citizens, while also striving for peaceful and mutually beneficial relations with any extraterrestrial life forms. I understand that this news may be unsettling for some, but I urge you to remain calm and trust in our government's ability to handle this situation. We have faced many challenges as a nation throughout our history, and we have always emerged stronger and more resilient, and I have no doubt that we will do the same in the face of this new challenge. I want to emphasize that this is a momentous occasion for humanity. The possibility of contact with alien life is something that has captured our imaginations for centuries, and now it may become a reality. Let us approach this with open minds and hearts, and let us work together as a nation and a species to meet the challenge and seize the opportunities it presents. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you, and God bless America. Well, it's about as good as one I could come up with. Let's see what's going on in the chat logs. Let's see some chatter. Can we get some comments? How's the sphincter in the sky doing? How are you all doing? What you guys have for dinner tonight? Let me know about that. That's always interesting. You guys have any weird occurrences in your area? Let us know. I'm interested to hear your stories. You've heard a few of mine. I generally don't tell them to most people. Because, what is it? None of it surprises me. I look at it. When I heard Musk one time say that for him, and I think Eric Weinstein maybe, Rogan podcast, say, for them it's just new information. And though I'm not on the same level as those two, for me it's just new information as well. Cloaking, time travel, it's just going to be a matter of technology. So what do we got? Has the stream frozen up here? It's hard to know. No, it looks like we're still going. We're almost at an hour. We're running at 30 FPS. Oof. Better quality than 60. What do we got? How's my audio? Are you guys hearing the fan of the laptop that's recording? That's something I wanna know about. Is the fan? What do we got here? Sorry, I'm looking back at the chat logs myself. All right, let's continue on here. On the record with Lear, Nap. Oh, an ad. An open source future is the only one for us. No advertising.
We're talking with John Lear on the subject. Mr. Lear mentioned a couple of minutes ago about what the president might say about UFOs. Do you believe that various presidents have been informed about what you believe to be the truth on UFOs?
Each president has been informed up to and including President Reagan. I'm not sure to the extent they are informed. Privately, I don't believe they are giving the full briefing. The people that control this information is a organization that we know of as MJ-12, and they're a top group of military and scientists. And I do know that when the president...
You guys are dropping off here. What's going on?
At least 3 or 4
Is
months.
the demon portal opened up and now demons are pouring through? What's going on? I'm not understanding the... You want me to do a little dance for you? Do I gotta grab the attention of our viewers?
Before he is actually gets the clearance
All right.
to know everything
As the
there is.
stream,
That doesn't mean they tell it, but it does take 3 or 4.
as the stream drops off. Well, actually, can you guys even hear my microphone right now? Maybe I didn't set it up in the switching software to... Oh yeah, it's fine. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Oh, I hope we all are.
4 months to get. Now, talking to the president, let's talk about what the president has actually said. Has he mentioned anything about aliens?
President Reagan.
President Reagan, on December 4th, 1985, this is a copy of the speech from the White House, just before he went over to Iceland. He says, I couldn't but, one point in our discussions privately with Secretary General Gorbachev, when you stop to think that we're all God's children, wherever we may live in this world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species, from another planet outside in the universe. We'd forget.
How hard would it be to engineer some biosuits? Slip the biosuits on, let the kids slip on some biosuits so you got little 2-foot alien looking things, or some midgets. Let the midgets slip on some biosuits, put some of the voice in the head, those little panels that make sound rather than vibrations that go in all directions, a very focused linear form. So you could put them in the hand, and a guy could just talk to you, put his hand up, and then you can hear exactly what he's saying. Or you could use some of the microwave technology or some of that other, who knows, and just project it right in the head and not even have to do anything with the hands. Who knows, but it won't be hard. Nah. But here's the real stickler. What if people aren't impressed? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's yet to be seen. Are people going to be able to take the idea of aliens well? I don't. In our lifetime, that remains to be seen. Can you guys leave some messages in the chats? Can we get some more? What are you guys doing? I'm not seeing any more. Not seeing any more chat logs here. Looks like everybody's doing something else. Let's go back to Lear, because he knows the score.
All our local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together.
He couldn't be just making a supposition.
We really are all human beings on the earth together. Must have been the late
for purpose of making a point.
Presidency.
You're saying he's trying to tell us something.
Well, here, 1 week ago at the 42nd General Assembly in front of the UN, September 21st, he says, in our obsession with the antagonism of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside, universal threat to make us recognize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if...
Can somebody leave some message at this point? Give me something. Right now it looks like there is a chat log. Is that possible for chat log to be disabled? Give me a yes or no. Do you guys believe in extraterrestrial races that have visited or are visiting Earth? Let's hear it. What do you guys got?
We were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet I ask you, is not an alien force not already among us? Now, this is right out of a White House speech. I'm not making this up.
What did he mean by this alien force? I mean, does it say? Does he go on to say something?
Yeah, he says, what could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our people than war and the threat of war? But the point is, why would he even bring up aliens? I mean, it's it's pretty far out for the President of the United States to be mentioned threats from outer space.
Okay, what about President Carter?
President Carter, we have the quote from Carter when he was during his election campaign. If I become president, I'll make every piece of information this country has about UFO sightings available to the public and the scientists. I am convinced that UFOs exist because I have seen one.
Jimmy Carter says he saw one.
That's Jimmy Carter. He saw one
So,
in
but
1973.
he didn't tell us, did he?
He doesn't. The pressure is enormous on these people to cover this stuff up.
How can that be? Are they afraid of a panic? That people would panic?
There's the panic problem, and there's also the problem that, in fact, in Cro-Magnon man, there may have been some tinkering to make us what we are today. And that's been borne out by several researchers. We couldn't have developed exactly the missing link. Something had to happen to get us going. Between 4,000 and 8,000 BC, we had just been going along for hundreds of thousands of years, not doing anything. All of a sudden, bang, we started making pottery, invented the wheel, invented fire, and everything took off. What was the key that did that? I don't know, but it causes one to think.
You mentioned a couple of minutes ago before the break that you think 90% of these visitors are hostile. What makes you think that?
Well,
doesn't fit with what we think of as ET, you know?
Well, if it's any reflection of our own world, obviously what played when I say a reflection of our own world, it's probable that carbon is the most prevalent element. Carbon-based life forms are the most prevalent life in the universe. Therefore, extrapolating, out evolutionary biology, if simians, if monkeys evolve, mutate into us, that it may be safe to say, if it's always the chimps that get maybe it's not always chimps, maybe it's something else, but they always get aggressive. We're based on this aggressive, primitive, what we consider, I consider primitive life, and everything's always based around war and fighting and aggression, because we live in a patriarchy, and you have to survive and hunt, so it makes sense why everything is evolutionarily based towards warfare, or survival perspective. I'm just ranting. There's nothing. Digressing here and there. Nobody's leaving any messages, which is a little weird. Makes me think that something happened on the chat. Am I getting a... let me see if I am getting a... let me see if I'm getting a thing. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I have no idea what's going on right now. How can I access the live stream chat? Where is that at? Huh. Got some dead time. Here we go. Ethan, here. SpongeBob, hi. FBI here. That's good. Always watching. Always listening. At least somebody is. Is that why you don't want to talk? You're all just agents? Come on, join the conversation. Let us know what you're thinking about. SpongeBob, the moniker SpongeBob, must be a gagent. That was all I got. 10 people here, sitting in the florist van, outside on the back 40. They brought the big rig today. Why, when you could just drive this down the street with a Stingray? So what do we got here? Let's get some messages. Let's get some chats going. SpongeBob, where are you from? Okay, so did they say it or not? Yes, of course. I wouldn't lie about that. Yes, sabe que? So what else do we got? Area 81. Area 81. Not yet seen or heard from. You must be the liaison. You must be the FBI liaison to the aliens. What trips through the stars do you have to regale us with? SpongeBob. The gaily engaging. Well, not seeing much interaction. Let's get back to Lazar with his Yeez 2023.
Called Intruders. One is called Communion. They apparently come down, and when I say apparently, this is taken from 300 hypnosis cases. A friend of mine has done 140 of them. And the people are abducted. They're taken up into a saucer. Usually lasts about an hour.
I got another story. Here's another fun story. The year's 2010 or 2011. I'm asleep. I'm dreaming. In the dream, I'm going through a subdivision. I know it's a subdivision because I'm going through houses. And I'm admiring the art on all the walls. That's all I'm interested in. I'm going in, I'm looking at paintings. Looking at paintings, admiring paintings. I come out of a house, I go in another one, I'm looking at paintings. All of a sudden I get a weird feeling. And then it dawns on me, I'm not alone. And there's something that's monitoring me beside the FBI. Well, sure enough, my consciousness zips right from that me, humanoid thing, me, a human, to on something, on some ship or in some base or something, because I'm standing in front of this, it's all surrounded metal, all this stuff, this giant gate, and I can see, almost like Independence Day. That's probably where the image came from. This alien thing, I can see it moving around behind this gate, and it looks angry. But it's conveying to me that it doesn't matter where you go or what you do, we will always know where you are, what you're doing, what you're thinking. You can never escape. How's that? That's fun, huh? Figure that one out, Freud. I mean, Jung. I'm sure Jung's got something to say about it. But that was an interesting one. Not prophesizing any events, but certainly something interesting. When you get that. Oh, I'm misremembering. I didn't zip to the craft or building or whatever in metal. I was running around. You know what I mean? I was running away from it. I don't know how far I got or where I got. Granted, it's been a long time since I had that dream. But I do remember trying to get away, and that's when I got the sense, you can't get away. And then I zipped back, and then I zipped to the craft, and that's when I saw it. How interesting. Let's go back to Lear.
They do all kinds of experiments. They give them shots. They poke them. They cut them. They do all kinds of things, then wipe out their memory and send them back. only after several months of some psychological problems do they end up going to a psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist, on trying to find out what the problem is, in the use of hypnosis, finds out that this person has been abducted.
What's the reason for that? What are they trying to learn?
There's three things that they're trying to do with these abductions. The first thing...
They should probably start with the caliper, engage the sphincter, and see if it's
very small,
one and the same demon portal.
Way up in the backside of the brain.
I really don't know about the demon portal, though.
They pick them up and put it in about 4 years old.
Did the Pentagon really say that?
4 years old, they would pick them up and monitor it.
What did the Pentagon really say? What is Pentagon Admits aliens are real? No, that's hyperbole, because in this age, hyperbole rules.
Many of the...
They said probably, and I was going to put probably, but I thought the title would be too long.
Found out what they've told them. Apparently within the next 2 to 5 years, there's going to be
so 5 words is sufficient for me.
Something enormous is going to happen. And these people who have been abducted, and there's probably over 100,000 of them, have been given some place to go and something to do. But under our best hypnotic techniques, we cannot find out what it is.
So how do we know that that's true?
Because they said they're going to do something. They know that they're going to do something, but under the hypnosis, they can't find out exactly what it is. And the third thing that they do is genetic experiments. They've been crossbreeding. There's a very good book out now called Intruders, written by Bud Hopkins, and it's about a crossbreeding experiment with a girl in Indianapolis. And they actually, the big head, what we call the big head in research, the little 3.5 foot tall.
Liberty Propaganda is back on the scene.
That with
Operation Bluebeam.
And there were 7 children. And just last fall, before the book was published, they brought the oldest and the youngest to show to her, and they let her name all 7. Now, this book has been thoroughly researched by Bud Hopkins, and although it sounds strange, believe me when I tell you, you may not find out in a month, a year, 5 years, or 10 years, but you'll look back at what I'm telling you now, and you'll say to yourself, my gosh, the son of a gun was right.
Well, where's this girl now? She's just...
Sounds like my dad. One day you'll look back and say, my gosh,
or just
he was right.
She just got married. Bud went to her wedding. We all know who she is. She gets along, just fine. It doesn't mean, just because she was abducted and gave him children doesn't mean it was the end of the world. It was just a part of her life.
Why don't we see a lot of photographic evidence, as many cameras and video gear? Why don't we see a lot of that?
There are a lot.
Before you go on, I know the pictures that we showed in the beginning of this program, you say they're baloney, they're phonies.
That's right. The pictures you showed at the begining were called the incident.
It's hard to put an image on baloney in the first place.
And any ufologist worth his salt knows, and who has researched that case, knows that he cannot back it up with the negatives and the essential information to prove that something like that happened. So we look at that as suspect.
So in other words, you run into your share of phonies as well in your research?
Absolutely. There's not that many, but there are a few out there. There's so many people that have real stories to tell that we're just so busy with those. For instance, let's take the November 17th Japan Airlines incident.
I'll tell you what, we're going to take another break, and we'll do that when we come back. Stay with me.
Taking a break. Well,
probably the most common question that I'm asked is about
when did you start losing your hair?
Tell me about the Japanese airline incident. It's probably something that's still in the memory of our viewers.
Yeah, the Japanese airline incident was a cargo 747 that had taken off from Iceland flying to Anchorage. And as he passed over the United States border in the northern part of Anchorage, he was intercepted by a UFO that was twice the size of an aircraft carrier, and he was followed by 40 minutes. He made a complete 360-degree right turn. He made a descent of 5,000 feet, and the thing stayed with him. Regardless of what you hear, the FAA did have him on radar, and so did the Air Force. If you have a picture there, this is a 26-page document made by Bruce Maccabee, who's a physics physicist employed by the Naval Surface Weapons Laboratory and one of the most respected figures in ufology.
I don't think we have that picture, so go ahead.
Okay, I'm just going to hold it up here. And
so you let me talk for 30 seconds, and you got nothing.
You can see the size of the 747
that's slowly rowing through water.
Now, the UFO was not
frog
lit like that. It's
just
made like that.
grasping the oar.
It was dark. But this is what he saw beside him.
Well, whose rendition is this?
This is the captain's, this is from the captain's rendition when he was debriefed by the FAA. Now, certain UFO debunkers have said what he saw was the planet Jupiter. Well, this is an insult to all transport category captains around the world. I mean, the guy knows the difference between something that's twice as big as an aircraft carrier and the planet Jupiter.
I've also heard that it's the reflection of his own plane.
What, the radar?
Yeah,
that was an attempt to describe it. You can't imagine what pressure these people are under to cover this stuff up. It's tremendous pressure. It really is.
Okay. You were going to tell me that the church, did you want to go further into the JAL incident?
No, I just want to say that's a 26-page report. It had the captain and the ATC conversation. It had the radar plots, and it had the Air Force plots and the FAA radar plots. There was no question about it.
You want to tell
the
me?
thing followed it.
The church, what do they think about UFOs?
Well, here's a copy from the London Evening News, July 21st, 1987. And it says, "Prepare to meet thine aliens." Vatican theologians have acknowledged that there could be life on other planets. Now they plan to train missionaries capable of working in space and meeting aliens. Jesuit scientists at the Vatican...
It would be the Jesuits. I went to a Jesuit university, but I dropped out.
An observatory in Frascati near Rome have reported moving lights and other identified phenomena in the sky. Starting in September, the Vatican University will have a special UFO section.
You've said before you thought a lot of their intentions were hostile, and you've mentioned before that a lot of the sightings are around military bases. Why don't we see them here, Las Vegas? We got a lot of military bases here.
Well, in fact, there have been a lot of reports of UFOs in and around Las Vegas, not specifically over the...
I think if anybody had the information in the world, I would venture to say that the Catholics in the Vatican might have some of that information. It's kept secret, possibly.
Air Force bases. We have the test site, and of course we don't know what's going on there. And we have Nellis Air Force Base, but there have not really been a lot of sightings over there. The main Air Force sightings were in 1975, and the UFOs descended on every Strategic Air Command base guarding the perimeter of the northern United States. And they hovered over the nuclear weapons storage area, and they stayed there with impunity for up to 2 and 3 hours over a period of 3 days.
And nobody heard about it?
Well, there was a few reports, but you really don't. I have a report 150 pages long of the F-106s that were sent out to chase them, and the helicopters, and notifying the Canadian authorities, and the security patrolmen that were sent down to actually see what was going on, and they'd come up on these things, and they'd say, "I'm not going any further."
You think maybe it's a top secret area if the Air Force actually does have...
Let me know, would you guys be brave enough to chase down some unidentified flying objects if you were pilots? Assuming you wouldn't be breaking protocol.
Them. Maybe they got him here.
I'm certain they do. Up at the test site, there's a report that of the 3 that they got in perfectly good condition, at least 1 is up at the test site and has flown, and 1 was being flown as of 1981.
By us?
By us, yeah.
We mentioned at the top of the show that perhaps a breakthrough might be coming, that some of these people from MJ-12 or from the Project Blue Book who are in on the government's research and saw some of the stuff might be ready to talk. We got about a minute left. Why don't you tell me about that?
It's our information that part of MJ-12 wants to release it, part of it doesn't. We're hoping that we can do this, but of course, as researchers, we're not aware of all the ramifications. We just know of what we're looking at. So we would like to see them release it, but we really don't know if they are.
Okay, John Lear, it's been very interesting. You keep us posted.
Sure will.
Thank you. We'll see you next week with more of On the Record.
Well, that's pretty interesting. You gotta wonder what prompted. Well, actually, I think what we just heard what prompted John Lear to start talking about all this. But you have to wonder if he was just fed disinformation to throw everybody off the trail of the technology actually being terrestrial based. Actually having been an amalgamation of German scientists and engineers, American scientists and engineers, and the continuation of research that was started long ago. Or maybe it is little green men from another universe, or possibly little green men that live here terrestrially. We'll possibly never know. I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream here, guys. Thanks for hanging out. This was extremely unorganized. I will get better at this as time goes on. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll catch you on the next one.